Hello, everybody. It's Katie, WY7YL, here for Ham Radio Outlet's Shack Chat. Welcome to my shack here in Sundance, Wyoming. Hello to all of our regulars and all of you newcomers out there. I'm so happy that you could join us. If you're here on Facebook, please do pop in your name and your location and, of course, your call sign. If you're on YouTube right now, please do give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down there so you don't miss out on all of our upcoming videos. Now, I just want to let everybody know that today's show is pre-recorded, so I won't be able to throw your call signs and names and messages up onto the show like I normally do. But don't worry, please do still share all of your comments because I will check after the show and see what we can do. If you have any questions or comments, we'll do our follow-up after the fact. But don't go away just because I'm not here with you right now because I've got a great show lined up for you tonight. So hang in there. So far as we've been doing, of course, our field day themed shack chat, and we are now just about a week away from field day. So that means you still got a little bit of time. So I hope you've been checking through all of your boxes and your piles of coax and figuring out what you need to order from Ham Radio Outlet now before field day gets here. So don't wait any longer. Get those orders in so that we can get out all of the goodies that you need to have a very successful and, of course, fun field day. Okay, so we've talked radios, we've talked antennas, we've talked just general organization of field day, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the club side of things. So, of course, there's clubs everywhere that do field days together, and they're from, groups of 3 people to 300. And of course, you've got the Whiskey 3 America Ocean that seems to on average have like 26 alpha or something. But I think they may not be doing that this year. But I thought it might be kind of fun to bring in my friends from the Orlando Amateur Radio Club to talk about field day down in Florida. So let me bring on our guest this week. I have let's see, where are you? All right, I'm going to bring John in here first. There is John Knott, and for JTK, who is the president of the Orlando Amateur Radio Club. Yay! Hi, John.
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. And
Thanks for inviting us.
You bet. And I'm also going to bring in Michael Cauley, W4MCA, who is also obviously a member of the Orlando Amateur Radio Club. But a lot of you guys probably know him in his role as the chairman of the Hamcation, our favorite event to go to in Florida in February. And as you guys know, I really love it because I get to get out of Wyoming in the middle of winter.
Definitely.
So let's see. All right, guys. So let's see. First of all, field day. It's been going on for a very long time, and I know you guys have been involved with your club for quite a long time. How many field days would you say you've been involved with in the past? Maybe I'll start. John, I'll start with you.
I've probably been now 9 years for nine field days for Orlando Amateur Radio Club.
Wow, that's great. What was the reason you went to the first one? Was that when you first became a ham?
No, actually, I actually joined Orlando Amateur Radio Club at that point, and then we after I became president, then of course I've been there ever since.
Right. It kind of goes with the territory, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
How about you, Michael? How long have you been going to field day?
With Orlando Amateur Radio Club, also 9 years when I become a member also of the club.
Right. That's okay. So that's no wonder I call you guys double trouble. You showed up at the same time. So let me see. Do you have anything? When I had John Crook on last week, N9 UPC from Yesu, I asked him if he happened to have a favorite field day memory. And I'm not sure if you caught it, but it was kind of funny. He mentioned that their club was in a local park and there was like a pavilion and they were set up in there. Well, there was a wedding that had taken place nearby and they came to the pavilion probably expecting to use it for wedding photos because that's, kind of a nice place, I guess, to do it. But of course, they found all the hams there instead. Well, it turned out that this group that came in for the wedding photos had a family member out of country who was a ham, and they were able to help set up a contact, and they were able to talk to their family member on the wedding day who wasn't able to be there. It was just kind of a totally off the wall thing that happened, but I just thought, well, that totally is, I mean, talk about a serendipity, I guess, if you will, of fun things that could happen at field day. I don't know that many of us could top that one for an oddball thing or something interesting and fun that's happened at field day, but you guys got anything in particular that you remember that's kind of one of those things like, "Oh, I remember the field day of, 2015 or something."
Well, prior to starting with the OERC, going to the field days that OERC had, we are also members in with Orange County Aries Amateur Radio Emergency Services, and we
Okay.
did a separate field day, and we did it at a local park called Moss Park, which is a kind of a rural campground, rural park here in Orange County,
Mhm.
and that weekend, of course, it monsooned
Oh,
all weekend.
oh, no. Oh,
So,
no.
and the tent that we used for the radios that time was actually a screen room tent, and it had a very small cover at the very top, and the rest of it
Oh,
was all
boy.
screen. And
Yeah.
when it started monsooning, five of us were basically huddling over the radios, trying to keep them covered so they
Oh,
wouldn't get
no.
wet and stuff, plus towels and all those type of things. And needless to say, it ended up being ankle deep water
Oh
outside
my
and off the outside the tent and stuff. So that was probably my most memorable field day.
Yeah, did the radio survive it?
Yes, it did.
Nice. I'm just visualizing all you got, everybody kinda hunkering over.
What it
We get
was.
some yeah, we've gotten some volatile weather here where, like, my stepson and, his friend were literally, like, holding the walls of the tent up because there was about 80-mile-an-hour winds coming at them, so everybody who was up there was holding the tent just to make sure it didn't, like, blow away. I mean, it's just we get such crazy things that happen. It seems like no matter where you live, it's the end of June, and I figured, you guys must get some crazy weather in Florida, so
Oh yeah.
monsoon definitely tops it. How about you, Michael? Were you at that field day too?
I was, and actually something else that happened at that field day also was we had the killer raccoon that tried to keep
No.
stealing our food.
Oh, you're
During the
kidding
middle
me.
of the night, we had everything in a cooler, and he comes over and climbs up on top of the cooler trying to open the cooler to get our
Right.
food out. So, and John chased him away, and all of a sudden, every time he chased him away, he would come back once nobody was looking and try to get in the cooler again. So,
That sounds like a raccoon. So let's see. You know, I know because, from Hamcation side of things that the Orlando Amateur Radio Club is a pretty big club because you need a lot of people to be able to pull off Hamcation. What is your what is your club size now, John? Or
Right around
membership,
one.
I should say.
Yeah, membership. We have about 179 at currently members, but they're
Wow.
scattered all around Orlando, Florida,
Okay.
and the United States.
Oh, okay. So you get members that are all over, and do any of
Yep.
them so out of that group, I mean, I know the kind of that rule of 10, you always get like 10% of a membership is always like the most active. So you get, say 20 people out of your group are probably in your leadership and are the people that are more generally active to do things. But, field day is one of those times where people kind of come out of the woods because it's maybe the one time that they know that they can get on the air, or they can have a little fun. It's a little less stressful because it's not, say, a contest, but they can hang out and play radio and eat some food and stuff. So how many people out of your club on average will participate in field day?
Over the entire weekend, we probably have somewhere between 50 and 60 volunteers that come out.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. So do you set up schedules for people to get on the air, or do you kind of keep it loosey goosey? How do you manage that?
Kind of loose. Pretty much when people show up, we get them on the air. We have
Mhm.
them start off with doing the logging first, especially if they've never done field day before. We'll have
Yeah.
them start with logging and have earphones on so they can hear what's going on. And
Yep.
then once they feel comfortable enough, they switch places. They get on the radio and somebody else does the
Right.
logging, and then they have at it for a while until they get tired. And then some people will go
Right.
on for several hours doing it because
Yeah.
once they get into it, they love it and
Yeah.
stuff. So, but pretty much over the weekend because we sometimes start setting up on Friday. It's like
Right.
some of the antennas and stuff, the bigger antennas that we put up, and then on Saturdays we come in and actually finish putting up all the radios, doing all the connections and all that type of stuff. So between Friday and Sunday afternoon, we have somewhere between 50 to 60 volunteers that come in.
Wow, that's fantastic. Do you have like captains, if you will, people who are responsible for, say, for the HF stations or the VHF stations or antenna setup, things like that, that maybe some of your club members who've been doing it for a while, so that's kind of like their area?
We have a couple captains, Michael and another one of our members and board members actually too. Will sit there and usually do a lot of the setup with and planning where the antennas are all going to go, the layout.
Mm, right,
And then we sit there and somebody usually starts working on where the radios are going to be inside the building.
right.
And it all depends on where in the fairgrounds that we actually have the event and stuff. Because most of the time we've been out in the pavilion, where the
Okay.
same place the forums are held for Hamcation.
Yep.
And then this past in 2019, we're actually in the social hall where the volunteer lounge was, because of
Oh,
construction and stuff that was going on out there in the pavilion.
right. Well, that must be nice. So you guys are obviously very familiar with the location, and the location's very familiar with you guys. So that's kind of a nice little, built-in relationship. So you have a good place to go and do field day. And
As much as we're familiar with it, you'd be surprised how many trips we go before either field day or even Hamcation and observe and see what might have changed since the last time we were there. Because you just be
oh,
surprised things do change.
right.
Well, that
Now, do you
like
guys? Yeah.
this year we actually had the challenge of they also do concerts there. We actually had
Oh.
2 concerts going on during field day weekend also.
Oh no. So you got some background music while you're operating, or losing
Basically,
your
Sometimes,
yeah.
volunteers to go hang out at the concert, right?
Um,
so far, it's none of the type of music we like listening to. So,
Oh, okay. Well, then you guys were probably safe.
yeah.
Um, so talking about, you kind of first mentioned the monsoon, and generally speaking, when I've been down there, it's February, so it's Hamcation time, but end of June for field day. Is Orlando just kind of hot and sticky at that point, or what kind of weather do you guys have to deal with for field day weekend?
Most of the time for field day weekend, it's very warm, very muggy because of the humidity
Hmm.
down here. But then in
Right.
the afternoons, we get what they call an East Coast and West Coast sea breeze that comes in. One from the East Coast of Florida, one from the West Coast, and basically it's just a frontal, like a frontal system that comes in from both coasts. And
Oh.
a lot of times they collide right over Orlando. So
Oh.
usually anywhere from 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening, we can have some thunderstorms, huge
yeah.
thunderstorms with lots of lightning.
Right.
This past year we had it and we actually shut down operations for almost 2.5 hours while it was
Wow.
storming.
Yeah, well, when you get something like that coming through, you have to. My goodness. Well, I guess if you're used to it, it's something you kind of plan for, and you could always, hunker down for dinner at that time.
Yep.
It's at least a storm has is nice enough to, show up when it's dinner time.
That's
True.
true.
So speaking of dinner time, field day is, besides being all about ham radio, is, second favorite thing is usually food at field day because we make all kinds of fun things. What do you guys do about that? Do you have like a food captain, or does everybody just kind of bring stuff and share, or how do you guys manage it with when you've got that many people that are showing up to, throughout the field day weekend?
Every year is different. We change it
Mhm.
up every year, so we don't have anything that's the same thing as last year. So
Oh,
sometimes we have a bunch of club members will bring in like a potluck.
nice.
Sometimes we actually order out and have it catered in. Last year, in 2019, we just did hamburgers and hot dogs and baked beans, potato salad,
Right.
all those type of things.
Yum.
Anna, our treasurer, actually takes care of a lot of that. She sat there and plans it all, and she organizes who's bringing what. Of course, in Florida you have to have a lot of water, so we go through probably about 15 cases of water over the weekend.
Wow, I believe it. Yeah. I mean, and we have that here too. I know the last time we did it, it was super hot and even humid a little bit for us, which is unusual. But we bring a couple of big, like 5 gallon jugs that we
Mhm.
put on a pedestal so we can grab water for, washing hands as well as drinking. And then we make a big cooler of Gatorade so that you can, because especially like setup day is just so hot and you're losing water as fast as you're trying to drink it. And
Yep.
so it's like Gatorade is always a staple at ours. And historically, we've always done a steak dinner on Friday nights. Everybody bring steaks and we throw it on the grill, and that's like literally the only time we'll do a full sit down together with everybody. After that, it's like you're on your own because we're always on the on the air. I just realized with the number of people that you have, what do you guys usually run for the number of stations? Like, we do 2 alpha usually. How do you guys manage that?
Well, last year, 2019, we did a 4 alpha, but we've gone as high as a 12 foxtrot.
Oh my gosh. Was that only one time and then you said never again or what?
Well,
I
12
think we
was the
did it
highest
2
we
years
did
in a
one
row.
time. Was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years
I
in a
know we
row
did 12, and then the following year or the year or 2 after that, we went a little lower, but it was still a high
Yeah,
number.
Yeah.
right. Were you
One
able
of
to
the things
keep all the stations running?
well, that was one of the problems we did have is everybody at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon is ready to go and on the air. And then because we just get done setting up and everybody's kind of tired, some people start falling off kind of quick and we don't have enough people to replace
Okay.
having some of those stations operating 24 hours. So even though we start
Right.
off with the 12, we might end up by the time Sunday rolls around, we might end up only as a 6 because of people dropping off and not able to get the stations manned again.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. I know we tried a 6 alpha once, and that was quite the lofty process for us, and we realized we didn't have nearly enough people because I think we all thought, well, we'll spend more time on the radio at, each of the stations. Well, like you said, after you're done set up, you're exhausted and
Hmm.
running around doing all those things, and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to be on the radio for, from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and it's just not happening. So it's, planning for the number of people and operators is definitely a challenge. And
It is.
so I guess even with a big club like Orlando, you guys still run into the same thing that some smaller clubs like ours do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Well,
definitely.
that makes me feel a little better, Not that you've had a hard time, and it's like, okay, so even the big clubs, run into the same challenges.
Yep,
Yeah.
So I've
definitely.
So the elephant in the room, of course, is with COVID-19. So many changes have happened this year, and conventions have been canceled, Hamfest and canceled, and a lot of changes related to field day. Is it safe to assume that your club is not going to do your usual field day this year?
It is. In fact, we weren't going to do the usual field day to begin with this year because
Oh, okay.
the pavilion that we always use in the past for field day, which is the same place the forums were held at Hamcation.
Yep.
Immediately after Hamcation was done this year, they started tearing down the pavilion, and
Oh,
because there were some issues with some structure sounding or something of that nature. But
oh, okay.
what transpired is they actually built another uh, pavilion, basically right across the little road. And I think Michael might actually bring that up to date on when he talks about Hamcation. But
Okay.
um, that construction is not finished yet, so we weren't going to be able to do field day there anyways. Last
Okay.
year when we did it at the social hall or where the volunteer lounge was, it worked well because we were all in one nice big room. But the problem was there's not much room for antenna layouts and stuff because of
Oh,
there was just so much asphalt and not enough places to put like poles and towers and things like that. So
sure.
we were actually going to team up with a neighboring club, like Monroe Amateur Radio Society, and just kind of they do field day, and we would have people go up there and help them run stations, basically manpower.
Sure.
It'd be their field day, but we would help them do it. But then because of
Nice.
COVID-19, um, the park isn't. They're not able to go to the park they normally go to, and it's
Okay.
not going to be available to them. So they end up canceling also. So now we're just encouraging all the members to operate from home, and
Hmm.
as members from OARC at home.
Right. Okay. So will you guys be able to do that from where you are as well, or because you really can't go around and visit like you do sometimes with field days. Other clubs can do that sometimes. You might get people if you're close enough. Because I know geographically, I mean, you have so many people down there. but I
Hmm.
guess you just don't really have the availability to, have that in-person interaction, which of course is a bit of a bummer for this year.
Yeah, I think the only one local club in this, like the Central Florida area, at least like in Orange Osceola County where we live,
Mm,
is Disney Emergency Amateur Radio Service. I think they're still trying to do a field day in the
okay.
event. I don't know how many stations they're going to have, but I know
Right.
they were talking about it.
Oh, we'll have to check with Ricardo KV4OP
Yeah,
because I know he's
Yeah.
a very active member of Deers,
years.
and they've had a lot of good things going on there as well. So, well, that's kind of cool. So, do you have any advice for being the president of a pretty large club, what I would consider a pretty large club, and probably most people would. Um, but do whether it's somebody who's maybe a new in a leadership position, or just new with a club that's interested in, helping with field day, regardless of, if it's a club of 12 or a club of, 200, anything in particular that you've learned over the past, 9 field days that you could share, can you throw some wisdom on us?
Start off small, learn from your mistakes, and allow it to grow naturally.
I like that. How about you, Michael? Would you agree with that?
I would, and the biggest thing, just don't overdo it to start with. I mean, don't go with like you said, somebody has 24 stations out there. I remember a couple years I saw that in the QST. I was like, wow, how do you even
Yeah.
have the antennas up?
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I mean, if you have a small club, uh, basic on what your manpower is. I mean, if you got
Mhm.
10 people, don't try to make 10 stations. Make one or two because one, you can't man them all. Two,
Right.
a lot of work tear down and set up for just 10 people. So
Right.
biggest thing is make sure you just don't overdo it and enjoy yourself and have fun. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. That's
There've been
great.
plenty of years that I've actually never even operated a radio during field day. I just help set up, tear down, troubleshoot throughout the thing, and I'm
Right.
happy doing that.
Yep. I've actually talked to a lot of people that's kind of been their role at field day, and they have no, not, they may not even have any interest in get out on the air because that's the side of it that they like. And I think that's one of the things that I'm always talking about with ham radio. There's so many different aspects to ham radio, and it isn't always just, sitting here in front of the microphone talking. There's all of the other things. And I tell you what, having been involved in both small and large um field days, especially by the end, if you have some fresh meat that comes in to help tear down at the end, that is like, woohoo, thank you so much for being there. We've had neighbors that have shown up and helped out, and
And like us, I mean, like we said, we might get 60 people over the weekend, but we have
right,
certain people that come out just to set up. We have certain people that come out just wants to operate and doesn't do
right,
that part. Then we have people on Sunday that come out and just help us tear down.
right.
So
Well, I think that's some really good advice that, we could all take it. And, that's something that, like, for us this year, I've been really focusing on. And, in the past, like, almost everything you see here in the shack ends up going off to our field day location. We tear out all of the computers, all of the radios, all of the cables, microphones, headphones, and, plus, of course, putting the stations together, putting the antennas up, and then making a bazillion things of food. And I'm like, not this year. Let's simplify it and try to make it a little more easier, because what ends up happening is I don't have as much fun with it, to be honest with you. It's like, I end up like kind of tired and stressed about it. And it's like, all right, this isn't supposed to be a tired and stressful kind of thing. And, I like the idea of starting small. And if you do grow, then you do it when you have enough people to
yeah.
help you, and having specific jobs and roles that they play. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, John, that's got to be how you manage Hamcation. Excuse me, Michael, how you manage Hamcation. You know,
It is, and you got to find the right people for the right position. Um, Not everybody is for like field day. Not everybody's a tech that can actually set up a network for your logging stuff. So you got to find the right person for the each position. And
right.
usually, when you do that and you find the right person, it runs easily. So
Right, exactly. Well, I think maybe there's our good segue right on into Hamcation. How'd you like that? I was kind of slick, wasn't it?
well,
So
One real quick thing is just
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that only for 24 hours. So all the work you do is only
Yeah.
going to be for 24 hours.
I know, and then it takes you about 3 days to recuperate afterwards,
Exactly.
at least. So, okay, so Michael, I know as the chairman of Orlando Hamcation, I know usually as soon as one is done, you guys take a short break and then you're just diving on into planning for the next year. Is that pretty accurate?
That is accurate. This year was a little different because right after Hamcation this year, all the craziness happened with COVID-19, which
Right.
pretty much shut down a lot of stuff. So this year I had a little bit longer of a break of not being able to do stuff because of that.
Right.
But we're pretty much now almost back in 100% full swing of getting everything planned.
That's great. So Hamcation 2021 is in the books and ready to rock and roll. And am I correct that this coming year is the national convention for the ARL?
It is. It's the
Okay.
ARL National Convention.
That's always fun because the ARL kind of pulls out the red carpet when it's a national convention and does some extra fun things. Have you heard any scoop on what they've got planned yet?
Um, I've heard some. I hate to say it, I can't release it yet because there's actually a
Darn
press
it.
release that actually I was hoping to have it by now. But there's actually a press release almost
Sure.
done. So I'm figuring within the next week or so, it'll hopefully be put out.
Oh,
Um,
great.
but I do know that they're bringing the expo down. They'll have a lot more presence again this year
Mm,
with the national convention. Um, and a lot of good stuff's coming. Just like I said, I can't say none of it yet, but
right.
it'd be pretty exciting. So I really believe it's going to be better than the last national convention we held in, I believe it was
Mm.
2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
that
our
sounds
last
about
national
oh,
convention.
yeah, 16,
So
right.
I do know it's going to be better than that one. So
That's great. So this past year, you had some photos you were gonna share, correct? Do we have or no,
yeah,
you and John had pictures from, somebody had pictures they were gonna share. Who had some
We
pictures?
both
John
did.
has some that was from Field Day, and I have some from
Oh, yeah.
Hamcation. So
Oh, alright. Well, let's do talk ham since we're talking hamcation at the moment, let's pull up some if you do a screen share, and then I can pull it up and you can talk about stuff, but, I've been going to hamcation for about 10 I've gone at least 10 times now, and, I've experienced all kinds of different weather, and I've talked about this before on different, videos and what have you that, the fun year we went down my husband and I went down, we decided, "Alright, it was a rough winter. We're like, we're gonna go to Hamcation and get out of the weather. And the and it was cold that it was like one of your cold years. And all of you guys, especially all the club members, they're like, "Oh, welcome to Florida. We're so sorry about the weather." And we're like, you know what? It was 22 below zero when we left Wyoming. So we'll take like 65 in rain. You know? Okay, let's see. Are you ready for me to add it?
yeah, it should be up.
Okay, let's pull that up and
All right, for last year, I say last year, but this past February, it's
right,
considered last year for us. Um, our theme last year was volunteers make a difference. So everything
right.
was based around volunteering um, for the show and just trying to take care of the volunteers. We had a little over 350 volunteers this year
Wow,
to be able to pull off Hamcation. So that's the most we've ever had.
that's amazing.
One thing new this year, our club meeting actually fell the week of Hamcation on that Wednesday night.
Okay,
So if you look at this, it's a little kit. We actually, Joe Eisenberg come in and actually did a kit build for our club meeting on Wednesday night.
oh
And
boy,
which was really
talk
good.
about
It was
bringing a celebrity in.
yeah, it was a huge hit. Everybody loved it. A lot of club members, a lot of the RVers that's already there on Wednesday come in and
Mhm.
actually did some kit building also. So everybody loved that. I can say for next year, it is being planned again to do a kit build again.
Oh,
There's
great,
no meeting for next year, but on one of the nights prior to Hamcation, there will be a kit build again that
great.
volunteered to do again.
That really, the hands-on stuff, I remember walking through that. It's so popular with people of all ages. I think it's a great way to get people in energized and activated because they can actually, build stuff and make it work. It's great.
Yeah, it was. And I do know that ARL actually did a kit build in their little area this year,
Yeah.
and it was a huge success for them.
Yep.
So,
I walked through that a few times and there was
yeah.
always somebody doing something. That was a lot of fun.
So of course, we have our major vendors: ICOM, Yaesu, Kenwood. You see MFJ in the background there. Everybody checking out. This year, I think it was the new. They had a display of the new little ICOM DAC pack radio that they have coming out.
Yep.
So they were displaying that. MFJ actually had a whole new setup this year.
Yeah, that
of
was
how
pretty
they displayed
nice.
everything. This was the first time they've ever used it. Was at Hamcation, and it was a huge success also. This was Friday morning. Everybody's starting to come in.
I
To the
remember
area.
I remember standing there watching people coming through the door, and it seemed like the stream never stopped. It was just this constant sea of people coming in for the I mean, like, I swear it was at least an hour before it finally seemed to, like, slow down a little bit. It was just amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot of people coming in
Yeah.
on Friday, and of course, HRO
Woo-hoo!
over
There's
there,
Mark.
busy as always.
Yep.
Mark there, I think he's one of the most popular people that work at HRO, other than you, Katie.
No. Oh, shucks. Well, yeah, KJ4VO, of course, our Atlanta store manager, and James,
Yeah.
who's in the background there, he works at the Atlanta store as well.
Yeah. Also, over 200. So I
Wow.
think it was like 201, 202 was the official count.
That's amazing. And you'll be able to host that many spaces again this coming year?
Yes. Let me rephrase that. Hopefully.
Okay, yeah.
Because they took some of the spaces out because we were talking about the pavilion
Oh,
being
right.
torn down. And in a little bit, I'll show pictures of what was going in its place. So we kind of lost some RV space, but we
Okay.
posted gain some also. So, but then our forums, Carol Perry doing her youth forum, which is very popular.
Yep.
Everybody enjoyed that. This gentleman's actually from Japan, and he was actually doing a FT8 forum, but he actually writes for CQ Japan. And he did a huge article about Hamcation for the magazine over there. So we actually got published in CQ Japan magazine this year.
That's awesome.
These are our tents that we used for the forums.
Okay.
Ward Silver, first year coming to Hamcation, he actually did his forum on grounding, which was so popular on Friday that we had a time slot open on Saturday, and he said he would do it on Saturday also, and he filled that one up without even any notice of anybody knowing he was doing it.
I believe it. Ward he's so smart and provides such great presentations, and he's so knowledgeable in so many areas. But yeah, he's always a draw no matter where he goes, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go to this forum from his, but Contest University this year was online. And I actually sat through the whole thing, me and John both, and I watched his presentation during that. And I was like, I told John, I know why everybody goes to see him now. He is the presenter of presenters. I mean, he knows how to do it.
He does, for sure. That's neat.
Yeah. More tailgate area outside. People just park their car, tailgate out of the back of it. This is actually our indoor swaps area.
Nice.
In the other big building. It was very busy this year.
Right.
And we only had, I believe it was 7 tables available this year, which is the most we've ever sold in this building.
Wow.
So a lot of people buying stuff in there. And of course, the food this year, we brought in a lot of new food vendors. Everybody loved them. We had the barbecue back this year. This is actually our north building, which has the prize booth in it.
Yep.
So everybody's crowded to get in that building to go put their tickets in the prize barrel.
Yep. Yeah, we
Um,
always have people asking, do you, or I could be wandering around anywhere, and I guess maybe because I'm wearing a logoed shirt, so when people know me, they'll say, "Where do I put in my tickets?" We're like,
yeah,
follow the crowd to the North Hall.
exactly. So this was new this year. We put up some more
Yeah,
tents for people to actually sit under to get out of the sun, to be able to eat and relax. So
that
that
was
was,
really nice. Really,
yeah, that
really
was a huge
nice.
hit this year. People in the past said there wasn't enough sitting space, so we actually put in more tents.
Right.
Line of food for Get Barbecue. Um, New thing this year, we actually added more shuttles taking people to and from their cars in
Mhm.
the parking lots this year, which was a good success. There's a testing shuttle taking people to do testing. Some of our VEs grading test. These are
How
the
many? Oh,
RVs.
quick question on the testing session. Do
Yes.
you generally get a lot of new people that want to be hams, or a lot of upgrades, or is it a mix? And how did it go this year?
Um, I forget the actual
Do you
total,
remember?
but
Oh,
it was a lot this year. It's most we've ever done. Um,
okay.
and I think most of them were actually upgrades. We had
Nice.
quite a few newbies or new
Yep.
hams also, but I thought he said more of them were upgrades, and most of them were from tech to general upgrades.
Okay. Nice. Very good.
Uh,
One of the things
Cool.
too, Michael, just to mention, it was kind of a different format they did the testing this year, where it was an open format instead of actually two scheduled times.
True.
Oh, so it just
So
kind of people could show up whenever?
Yep.
correct. So that's what we did this year. Instead of
Oh,
actually saying testing starts at 9 o'clock, we actually
right.
made open time so they could come between 9 and the last time limit I think was like 1:30
Okay.
anytime during there. So if you wanted to go check out the show first, you could
Yep.
do that, then come over at, let's say, 1 o'clock and do your test. So you
Right.
actually didn't have to be there right at 9 o'clock when testing started.
That's kind
So
of, did you find that that worked out okay?
actually all my VE um,
VEs.
chairman actually said it worked
Oh,
very well, and we're going to do it again next year like that.
cool.
So,
Great.
and
We'll
that's
have to talk
actually how
about that another time.
we actually got that from Dayton. That's how Dayton actually does theirs. So they
Okay.
actually have it open so people can come and go, which makes it a lot easier.
I
So,
bet.
and also we
Hello.
use Laurel for testing, so
Yep.
nobody has to pay for it. It's free.
That's great.
And also the ones that take it on Friday, actually
Yep.
Saturday morning by 9 o'clock had their call sign already,
Oh,
so
that's
they could
awesome.
actually start operating as soon as they got a radio at Hamcation.
Right. That's super cool. All right.
So
So what do we
this
got going on there? I'm gonna pull
a
that one
lot
up.
of our
There we go.
RVs, just like I said, we had over 200 RVs,
Wow.
from small ones to big ones,
Yep.
fifth wheels. Then, of course, our prize barrel and our prize booth. A lot of tickets in there. And big hit this year, First Robotics actually had a bigger area to play with, and they brought out a
That
lot of
was
the
fun.
robots, and a lot of people actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, that
Watching.
was really neat. I walked by and they were doing some things, and I'm like, I took some photos. I'm like, that looks a lot of fun. I want to play in there.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really a good area hit. And of course, we have our chairman's dinner and awards banquet
Right.
on Saturday night. So those are some photos from it. Um, some of the people, of course, everybody watching knows Carol Perry. This is
Right.
Mike Bannigan. He's actually my awards chairman.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
this is Jack's Place in the Rosen Plaza. Ward Silver. It's
Yeah.
basically the who's who of amateur radio
Gotcha.
that attend it. Um, let's see here. You actually have the
Food.
sheriff of Greene County and
Neat.
Xenia, Ohio here. This gentleman
Wow.
right here, you might know the backside of him. Katie?
I gotta look. Hold on. Wait a minute here. Oh, let me put my glasses on. The backs. Wait, I need my stronger glasses. Hold on. I honestly can't tell. Who is that?
He just flew a balloon around the world.
Oh, that's Tom.
Yeah.
That's W5KUB. Cool. And
So
Kathy.
he was
Hey.
actually here for the first time this year. Of course, president of ARL, his wife.
Oh, yep. Rick and Holly.
Yeah,
K5, you
Rick
are.
and
We just
Cauley.
heard him. I just worked Rick on a contest a couple weeks ago. It was
Oh,
fun
did you?
to,
Oh, wow, cool.
yeah.
They were there. Bob from ARL,
Yeah.
Michael, Tim Duffy, then of course Mark Brown from Huntsville, Joe Eisenberg,
Neat.
Ward Silver was there.
Looks like a fun crowd.
Yeah, it was guys
Oh,
from
Michael,
Dara,
Michael
Michael
Coulter.
Coulter, and
Jack
Jack
Gerbs.
Jack
Gerbs.
Gerbs. Yeah. Oh, look
Um,
at that. Wow.
yeah, this
Yeah.
was actually Carol presented. This is actually the Carol Para Educator of the Year award. This year's winner was Melissa Poor.
Right.
She actually was the one that won it. Um, she's a teacher, very interesting lady. She's very big with NASA, and she's actually working to become one of the teachers that gets to go to the space station.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
great.
So huge with NASA stuff.
Neat.
So she was actually the winner this year that won the award.
We love space.
Yeah. All three of us here presenting it. Then actually, a award that I created this year, the first person that won it was actually John. Was the Hamcation Chairman's Award. Somebody that goes above and beyond for Hamcation. So it was actually a surprise for him. He didn't even know about it.
Yay.
Nope.
So that this year. Then of course this is our Bob, our commercial chairman, John, and Bob here is actually our photographer. I actually tucked the camera away from him and took a photo of him.
I know he's always the one taking all the photos. We always end up, and of course he's going by the HRO booth pretty frequently because it's it's such a big area right down there by the entrance, and so we always usually get several chances to chat and visit throughout the weekend. And I just love Bob. He's such a nice guy. It's a lot of fun.
So I told him, hey, I need the camera so you can at least get in some of the photos.
There you go.
And this was actually on Sunday when I pulled the grand prize winner for the radio, which this year was the new Yaesu FT101D, I think it is.
Oh yeah, FTDX 101D.
Yeah, the funny part, this gentleman here to the right, nobody could hear me in the North Hall. This guy has a very loud voice. So he started actually calling out the call signs for me.
Yeah. That's great.
I pulled the last ticket for the grand prize and showed it to him. And he looks at it and he was like, no way. And I was like, yeah, you're going to call it. He was like, it's me.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So the guy that was actually calling out the things for me was actually the winner of the grand prize.
Oh, that's hysterical. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So him receiving the prize at that point. So he was tickled to death about it. So,
yeah, no kidding. Wow. Oh, that's funny.
That's all those photos. I do have one more about the pavilion.
All right.
Let's see here. Everybody knows this is the old pavilion that was there. This is actually during the fair. So this is an aerial shot of the Central Florida Fair. So this is the old pavilion. Just like we said, right after Hamcation this year, they actually tore it down. This is the old pavilion here being torn down. Totally gone now. This side here is actually the new pavilion they're building. So there's the foundation, them putting it up. All the way to that point, this is the last update I've got from the fairgrounds of the new pavilion going in.
Wow.
So we will have a new pavilion out there for hopefully the forums. I haven't seen it yet to see how it will work yet. But we did gain all this area over here where the old pavilion is. And we've been told that they're supposed to put in power over there for RVs. So It's not 100% sure yet, but hopefully they will, because this area where the new pavilion was full of poles also for RVs that we used. So
Okay.
that's where we lost some of the poles for RVs.
Right. Wow.
Um,
I like the aerial because it does give you a better idea of how big,
how
if
big
nobody's,
the fairgrounds is. This is
yeah,
actually the back side of it. And the
right.
fairgrounds,
I never get back there.
yeah, the fairgrounds actually goes a little further than this, off more this area also. But
Yeah.
it's all this. The flea market up here is all part of it. All the soccer fields here we rent. And right over here in this area is the children's safety village, which is where the actual testing is.
Oh,
So
wow.
I believe
Okay.
it's a total of like, I think it's like 86 acres of land that we
Right.
actually use for Hamcation.
Wow. That's pretty darn significant. Well, that's going to be
Yeah,
really nice with a new building. So you said that that new building that we're looking at right now, that's where the some of the forums are held?
that last year, the old building, the forums were underneath it. We put the tents actually inside of the building because it's
That's
so tall.
okay. Right, right,
So
right.
hopefully this building will be the same way. We're not
Yep.
100% sure yet, but
Yep.
we've been told that it's supposed to be actually a little bigger than the old
Wow.
one.
Very
So
cool. Well, that's exciting.
yeah,
Awesome.
so
Well, that'd
that's
be
all I
good.
have
Well,
for
look,
photos.
all right. Well, I'll just remove that. Well, that's pretty cool. So that gives us a good idea what to expect and start planning now for Hamcation. Is it too soon, or can people actually already purchase tickets for 2021?
Not yet.
Okay.
Our website should go live August 1st. At that
Okay.
point, people can buy tickets and everything. And the
Yep.
dates for next year is February 12th, 13th, and 14th. And you
Okay.
can actually already book your rooms if you go to Hamcation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
most of our hotels already have contracts with them now. So you can
Oh.
actually get the rates for this year already and start booking your rooms.
Oh, that's fantastic. And again,
So,
the website is simple. It's hamcation.org.
Hamcation.com.
Oh, darn it. I'm sorry.
But
Edit.
Hamcation.org will take you there also.
Oh, all right. I was thinking, okay, never mind. So I should have just said, all right, let's try that again. Hey, Michael, what's the website for Hamcation?
So, but
All right.
Hamcation.com, Hamcation.net, Hamcation.org, they all go to the same spot. So it doesn't matter.
Smart. Yeah. Just own them all, though.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I certainly look forward to it as always. And you guys just do so many great things for the amateur radio community, not just in Orlando, but for everybody all around. And it's really great. And sure, I do appreciate it. Now, since we are generally speaking about field day, I know John, you said you also were prepared to show us a few pictures from field day Orlando style. What do you
Yes.
say?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, you pull up your screen and I will add it, and then we can do that. And that'll be the last bit of the show for today. This has been fun. My goodness. Wow. Living where I am, there's obviously a lot less people. So I kind of miss out on some of the cool things you guys do. There's so much involved. All right. So here you go. I'll let you tell us what's going on.
Well, this is field day Florida style, if you will.
Okay.
We're at the fairgrounds, and at the fairgrounds, they actually store a 25-foot crank up Luma tower for us year round.
Wow.
So we pull it out on
Nice.
field day for us to use. So that's what the gentleman on the forklift's doing. He's bringing it out for us so we can get ready to get it set up. And then he's got delivering it. There's Michael, Bob, and Frank getting ready to start moving it and getting things ready to get it set up. That's James. James was also one of our board members. And James and Michael are the ones that the past 5 or 6 years now have taken the bull by the horns, if you will, and planned where all the different antennas and stuff are going to be, the kind of the layout and stuff. So,
right.
And they do an excellent job, of course.
Of course.
In Florida, you have to have ice.
Okay.
On field day. So this truck is actually delivering 50 pound bags of ice.
Oh,
For
wow.
us.
Oh my
And
gosh.
because of it's very warm down here, obviously in summertime.
Right.
So that's our ice coming in. And
Gosh.
of course, we had to put the helicopter in. Our sheriff's department helicopter is flying over that same time we're getting ready to put the tower up, and we had a joke that he came in to help us raise the tower up for us.
Right.
So there's the tower.
Oh,
This is at
cool.
the social hall, and we use the light pole there for a little support in putting up the
Okay.
tower. And so they're getting ready to install one or actually a couple of the antennas that go on top. So there's the inside of the social hall, basically
Yep.
just getting things ready. Some of the coax, obviously, you can see right down here all the coax that we bring.
Oh, yeah.
Antennas. There's some of the drinks and stuff, obviously, trying to keep everybody hydrated down here in Florida.
Yep.
And James is up on the tower getting things ready to hook up I think, was it Michael? We did the double bazooka and the Mosley, I think, on top of this, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Correct.
That's a great shot too. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, look at that. Wow.
So he's on top of the tower, or climbing. He has his safety gear on, and also we took I think it was 2x4s and kind of wedged him into the tower to make sure that nothing shifted while he was on top of the tower and stuff. So we were all the types of safety was in mind while we did this.
Yeah.
Another view of the Mosley while it was up in the air.
Yeah, it looks
Then,
like the light pole's growing out of it.
Yeah. That's
And
the
this
nice
one
thing
is,
out there. All these light poles are big, so we can use them
Oh,
to
yeah.
bring antennas to them
Right.
and stuff like that.
No kidding.
So here's Bob Cumming, W2BZY.
Yep.
He's on the ladder. He's setting up the pole that he's getting ready to put up one of his Carolina Wyndhams that he puts up.
Oh, neat.
I think he only put one up this year, if I'm in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he
We
only
have
did
two.
one because we only had one CW station this year. But it's
Okay.
it's a 160-meter Carolina Wyndham, which is like
Wow.
300 foot long.
Oh yeah, 160-meter antennas are not short.
Yeah.
I
And those are
recognize the pond there because there was ducks cruising around
Yeah.
the Hamcation.
I was going to say that's the east entrance into the commercial building.
Right.
So some people might recognize that one.
Yep.
There's Bob getting everything tied in, getting ready to hoist it up some. That's Bob using his potato gun.
Oh.
He uses to help get wires or guy wires and things like that there
Oh,
across branches. I think this time they're getting up above a light pole. That's what
Yeah.
they
Oh,
use
wow.
it for.
We've used actually one of our field day regulars, Tom he just changed his call after like 54 years, so I'm always getting it wrong. It's like I think it's WX7P now. And he brought his not bow and arrow, but the
Crossbow?
crossbow and we used that for getting antennas up in the trees one year. That was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. We were testing out this one. It was one of our Aries club had an MFJ loop, and so we're testing it out and see how well it worked. And I think it actually worked pretty well.
Yeah.
So we were quite pleased with it. Another shot of the Carolina Wyndhams and the double
Looks
bazooka.
nice.
I think all came into one spot.
Cool.
This is inside the little social hall.
Yep.
Everybody trying to get things set up, ready to go for the 2:00 start at field day. James is inside now. Jerry is our CERT coordinator.
Oh, nice.
And he's been CERT coordinator now since the early 90s. Nobody wants to take the position. So there's the food. Can't have field day without food.
Darn
So
straight.
everybody's trying to get the things prepared for it. And that was the day I think we did the hamburgers, hot dogs, and all the fixings to go with it.
Sounds good.
There's the hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill.
All right.
And we even think about some of our members are vegetarian, so we even bring in vegetarian burgers so that they can still enjoy the day with us.
Perfect.
There's the feeding line, if you will.
Yep. I'm guessing that building is air conditioned,
Yes, it is.
correct? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Phew, thank goodness.
Everybody would be sweating like crazy if they didn't.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. That's a great setup of food there. Oh, look at all. Oh, you got tons of people in there to eat together. That's really nice.
Well, as we always say, you make food, they come.
Yep.
Even if they don't do nothing, they still come.
Right. Yeah.
So safety in mind, we always have ground rods. We
Yep.
mark off hazards. We do have a safety coordinator. He goes around and checks everything, make sure that things are marked properly. And we keep all that stuff going. In Florida, you got to have ground rods
Oh, yeah.
with all the lightning activity we have in the afternoons usually.
Right.
Oops, my mouse skipped
too-
one there again.
Yeah.
So more safety stuff. Then the inside, Bob over here is Bob. He's usually
Yep.
our CW station.
Okay.
He usually gets a lot of CW calls. We only had one station this year set up for CW. Two of the other gentlemen that normally come for our field days wasn't able to make it for 2019, and
Oh,
so we only had one this time. Joe's working 20 meters at that point. And as you see I'm sorry, my phone there. If you notice up on the window there, K1AA was our call sign. We were 4 Alpha in North Florida section.
Yep.
Keep everybody reminding what we were.
We do that every year over each station because, especially when you're not using your own call sign and you get into a pileup, sometimes you forget and you're like, who am I again? So having that right smack in front of you on the wall it's really important.
Yeah,
We
the worst
have-
part is when your call sign is very close to
Yeah.
the other call sign. Back when
Right.
we did the Aries one, the Aries call sign is actually W4MCO.
Oh boy.
And mine's W4MCA. So you can only
Right.
imagine how many times I used my call sign back then.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. When of course we use WI7FD and having the prefix of the WI7, I immediately am thinking, of course, I got to finish it with YL, but
Right.
fortunately that's one thing nice about field day. It's not so crazy that you can't goof up and laugh about
Yeah.
it all on the air, so
Right.
and I've done that plenty.
So there's Bob and Joe working 20
Yep.
meters. Bob was logging for Joe that time.
That's great.
Actually, I was probably a double shot there. Another view
Neat.
over here, we have probably guys were either working 15 meters or what was the other one we're doing? 15 or 20, or excuse me, 10 meters.
10 or 15
Okay.
there.
Yep.
Yeah. And then also they were probably working 40 meters off of one of the stations also. So it all depended on what the band was open at the time. We
Yep.
tried to make sure we had somebody on the open bands.
Sure.
View of the 746, one of the 746s that we use.
Nice.
We have a couple of club radios that we use, and a couple of guys bring their own equipment also.
Okay. That's great.
Logging software. Got to always have a
Yep.
picture of logging software. And this is probably right toward the beginning of field day.
Yeah.
This gentleman here, Paul, and I was even talking to Michael, and I can't remember if this gentleman here was his son or his grandson, and this is his grandson or great grandson.
Oh wow.
But anyways, they came. They're not even amateurs, but they had an interest. So Paul had them come out, and they actually participated in field day that day. They were
that's
able to
great.
make some contacts and stuff. So they had a good time. It was good to see some family members come out and help out.
Well, and it definitely looks like the young one there was having fun. I mean, that's definitely
yeah,
a
yeah.
genuine smile. Definitely a genuine smile.
They spent several hours with us.
Yeah.
So
Great.
they were having a good time.
Neat. Oh, that's fun.
There we had one of the Wolf River coils. One of our members got one, and he was testing it out to see how it worked, and it worked pretty well for him.
Neat.
There's another shot of the Wolf River coil. And then here, it's hard to tell, but there's actually antennas from going across the light pole, going across this way.
Oh,
And
no
another
kidding.
one going this way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's also a guy wire coming up this way for the tower.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
So, and if you
Oh, yeah.
going back to the shot here, this was this area here is actually one of the areas we used for tailgate that it flooded because of all the rain we were getting.
Oh, yeah.
We're happy to say that won't happen anymore. They fixed the drainage there.
Oh, good. Yeah, that looks like quite the pond over there.
It
Yeah, it
was
was huge.
Jeez.
another shot of it of the. I think
Oh,
that
yeah.
actually is the Caroline Wyndham there.
Wow.
And then Frank and James operating. Looks like that might have been either the 10 or 15 meter station that depending on
Actually, I
what was
think that was
operating at the
40.
time. Or is that the 40?
Yeah, that's the 40.
So, and both of those guys are on our board of directors also.
Great.
This is after field day. After all the
Right.
fun is over with, now it's time to start tearing everything down. So, this is our safety officer. He's the one that's going around making sure that we played safely, and he actually
Right.
did a very good job on that. He caught a couple of our guys not doing what they're supposed to do, and he jumped them.
Good.
So,
Earlier, we were talking about for new clubs and new people doing field day. That's a
Yeah.
good person to have as a safety officer. Plus, you
Mhm.
get extra bonus points from ARL
Right.
for a safety officer.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good thing because one, they go around, make sure all your coax, anything that's a trip hazard, he flags
Yep.
it. Make sure stuff's grounded, stuff like that. Make sure nobody's
Yep.
doing anything crazy and stupid,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that is a good person to have for all
Absolutely.
field days that anybody does.
Right. No, it's a
yeah,
very
we
good
definitely want
point.
everybody to have fun and play safe, and nobody
Yeah.
has to take any trips to the hospital. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's
going on
James
there?
after he came down off the tower.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He had his gear still on,
Yep.
and things are coming down.
Yep.
That was after they took the Mosley down.
Oh, okay. There you
So
go.
I think that's it. That's it.
Cool.
And I
My
know
my
for us here in Florida, the end of field day is actually judged by the weather.
okay.
So a lot of years we don't run until 2 o'clock because we could have storms very easily. And most years we're actually usually packed up and done by noon
Okay.
because of the weather.
Right. Well, yeah, because you know you're going to get a storm in the afternoon. I mean, I think that's just a daily thing for you guys in Orlando area. So it makes sense that you wrap up and get everything down, especially with stuff being so high up in the air and all of the equipment that you need to get down and what
Yeah,
have you.
what
And
we normally do is as the bands start to break down or stop, they start
yep.
collapsing. Once that band comes down, that station comes down, and
Right.
on Sunday morning and stuff. And pretty much, we have had a station up until 2 o'clock on some years. And
Yeah.
as soon
Usually it's our
as you
CW
get one
station.
station,
Right. Yeah. If you could start packing down stations, one section at a time, that definitely makes it easier. You're not trying to do
yeah,
everything all at once. And, that's, one thing my mom actually started up a field day a few years back was getting boxes together that were labeled and they were for each station. So we would have, the microphone that goes with, X radio. So and all the coax, or we would have keys in a box and just getting things generally organized and labeled. And I tell you what, that's been such a huge help just to have, that stuff organized. Of course, since then, half of it's missing, but, is that always the way?
yep, definitely.
Oh, great. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you guys both, for joining me for Shack Chat today. And it's been fun to talk about Field Day with the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and, of course, Hamcation. And we are, all looking forward to being able to get back together again in Florida, February 12th, 13th, and 14th. And for those of you that will be operating Field Day from home or elsewhere, be safe and have fun also. So this has been another episode of Shack Chat. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, sharing is caring. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a thumbs up, give us a like, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your neighbors, share it with your ham clubs. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget, hit subscribe and join our channel. On behalf of all of us here at Ham Radio Outlet, I'm Katie, WI7YL, saying 73, everybody, and stay radioactive. Bye, everyone.